Tips that help your edit go fast. Like Ricky Bobby. What's up everybody, Anthony Ceratelli here and welcome to another Jersey Filmmaker episode where we talk everything filmmaking, and today I want to go over my top 5 most used shortcuts in Adobe Premiere Pro CC. I did title this top 5 shortcuts, but I placed them into groups, so if you're watching this, you're actually going to get more like 15 shortcuts out of me today. Now don't be deterred if you don't use Premiere Pro because every nonlinear editor will most likely have these features. You'll just have to figure out what keys each shortcut is mapped to or go remap them yourself. Years ago, when I first started editing, I started in iMovie, then went to Final Cut 7, and then quickly moved to Premiere Pro. I didn't familiarize myself with shortcuts until I started using Premiere, so everything I use are pretty much the default settings in Premiere Pro. I've also done things like downloading shortcut cheat sheets and buying this EditorKeys Keyboard. By the time I bought this though, I did know most of the things on here, but I still randomly come across a thing or two that I didn't know that really becomes a big help. I'll put a link in the description below if you're interested in buying one, and I'll also put links to some of the cheat sheets that I like so you can take a look at those. So let's jump right in, and the first thing I want to go over is my most used tools. The selection tool, the razor tool, the rolling edit tool, and the slip tool. The selection tool is straightforward and can be accessed by hitting the V key. It's simply the pointer tool that allows you to select anything and everything that you need to click on. For the razor tool, or what I refer to as the cut tool, hit the C key. This brings up a razor blade looking like icon that allows you to cut wherever you click on your video or audio clips. Another way to make a cut on your clip is to place the playhead where you want to cut and hit Command K. The rolling edit tool is the N key. This allows you to roll back and forth, pulling both clips in their respective directions. For example, let's say you wanted to lengthen the clip by 2 frames. Instead of pulling the second clip to the right, then dragging your first clip to the right 2 frames, then having to drag your second clip back to the left to fill the space, you can just use the rolling edit tool and it will do all of these things simultaneously to wherever you drag your edit. Finally, we have the slip tool, which is the Y key. The slip tool allows you to slide your clips in and out points without physically moving the clip on your timeline. So let's say you have a clip jammed right in the middle of an edit and you want to start that clip 3 frames earlier. You select your slip tool, click on the clip, slip it to the left 3 frames, and it adjusts your in and out points for that clip accordingly. This becomes a huge time saver. I suggest learning the slip tool. Next up is the very common copy, cut, paste, undo, and redo. These are all things you've probably used in other programs and they're no different here. Copy is Command C, cut is Command X, paste is Command V, undo is Command Z, and redo is Command Shift Z. You can copy, cut, and paste audio and video clips, attributes such as position, scale, and opacity, or maybe copy effects and paste them to multiple clips. Undo and redo I use like 1,000 times a day. Probably because I moved a clip or applied an effect or made some keyframes, end up not liking it and undoing it to get back to where I started. Sometimes I'll overdo the undo and have to redo. Hashtag Command Shift Z. But I mostly use redo when I want to go back and forth after making a change to see which one I like better. I'll undo, redo until I figure out which one works best. Next up is ripple delete. Ripple delete is a quick way to delete dead space in your timeline. You can do this by hitting the backspace key or the delete key. For example, if I was editing one of these episodes, I'd watch it through, pick the takes I need or like, and delete the crap in between. But instead of clicking and dragging each piece all the way down, the easiest way is to ripple delete. So you select the dead space in between the clips and hit the backspace or delete key, and voila, dead space no more. Next up is the mark in and mark out shortcuts using the I and O keys. I use this mostly in the source monitor. It's a way to select a specific portion of your clip to be able to drag into your timeline. Let's say I was going through some B-roll. I like this part and I want it to start here, so I select the in point by hitting I. Let it play for the 2 seconds I need, select the out point by hitting O, then drag into my timeline. It's that simple. And finally, let's talk about zoom. I'm constantly zooming in and out of my timelines and using multiple ways to do so. So here are your options. I'm a big fan of the zoom to sequence shortcut, which is the backslash key above the enter or return key. What this does is toggle back and forth between zooming out to fit everything into your sequence timeline and then zooming back in to where you last left off. So if I were to zoom all the way into this section of my timeline, then click the zoom to sequence key, it would pull all the way out to visually fit my edit into my timeline. Then if I want to get back to the distance I was viewing prior to zooming out, I click it again. To zoom in step by step wherever your playhead is placed, you can use the plus and minus keys. However, I tend to keep one hand on my keyboard and one hand on my trackpad. So if you do the same, another way to zoom in and out is to hold the Option or Alt key and slide 2 fingers up or down on the trackpad. This will zoom wherever your mouse is placed at the moment. So I will hover over an area I know I need to zoom on, my finger automatically goes to the Option key, and I will just slide my fingers up and down to zoom in or out of my timeline. With those 3 zooming options and techniques, you can choose what works best for you. I tend to use all 3 of them randomly, so there's no right or wrong way, just do what you do. So that's the bulk of the shortcuts that I use countless times a day. There are many, many more, so if you edit often, I suggest going to Study Up, download those cheat sheets, and implement them into your edit game. So that's what I got for today. If you like this video, please hook it up and hit the like button. Subscribe and hit that little bell and you'll get immediate alerts to all future episodes on this channel. Please feel free to leave comments or questions below, or if you're on social medias, don't be scared to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at Jersey Filmmaker. Thank you so much for watching. Go learn some shortcuts, speed up your edits, and I'll see you next time.